Hey there, and welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into something kind of wild. The secret money that might be hiding in your house right now. We're talking about unconventional currencies. All right, so picture this. It's the end of the month, you're feeling broke, checking the couch cushions for change. But what if I told you that your kitchen pantry, yeah, that messy junk drawer you never clean out, could actually be a gold mine? No, I'm serious. I mean, have you ever really looked at a peppercorn or, that dusty packet of ramen in the back of the cupboard? What if those everyday, totally boring things actually have a secret history as super powerful forms of currency? Because let me tell you, your entire idea of what money is, it's about to get completely flipped on its head. And look, we're not just talking about the loose change you find in the car. We are talking about secret money. These are everyday items that, at different points in history, were totally legitimate, powerful ways to trade and buy things. Okay, so let's get into the evidence, right? We're going to open up the case files on some of the wildest examples of unexpected cash you've ever heard of, stretching from the ancient world all the way to our crazy digital age. First up, we've got an absolute classic, the OG of unconventional currency. Salt. Yep, the same stuff you put on your fries. And this just goes to show you value is all about context. I mean, think about it. Before refrigeration, what was one of the most important things? Preserving food. And salt was the key. It was so crucial, Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in it. That's actually where we get the word salary from. So, yeah, for them, a bag of salt was literally as good as gold. All right, so if you think spending $7 on a latte is a status symbol today, just imagine paying for, well, everything with the stuff you use to make hot chocolate. Let's talk about the ultimate Mesoamerican flex, cocoa beans. And we're not talking about some quirky barter system here. This was serious business. Cocoa beans were a super sophisticated currency. You could use them in the market, you could pay your taxes with them. They fueled the entire economy for massive empires like the Aztecs. I mean, think about that. A handful of beans could get you a whole meal. A few more, maybe a rabbit. Wild. Okay, let's switch gears. We're going from something you can eat to, well, something from an animal's mouth. In Fiji, one of the most powerful forms of currency wasn't a coin, it wasn't a bean, it was a whale's tooth. It's called tabua. And this is such a perfect example of how money can be tied so deeply to culture. You see, these polished teeth weren't just for buying your groceries. No way. They were absolutely central to the most important moments in life. Weddings, funerals, you name it. They carried this immense social and spiritual weight that went way, way beyond just what they were worth in dollars and cents. But what happens when the official system just breaks down? What becomes money when the banks are closed and the ATMs are empty? What do you use then? Well, in closed-off economies, think prisons or post-war Europe, value suddenly shifts to what people actually need and trust. Things you can easily trade. Suddenly, a packet of ramen isn't just a snack, it's a meal and a dollar. A postage stamp isn't just paper, it's a way to send a message. And cigarettes, they became this universal currency, not because they were useful, but because everyone just agreed they had value. It's like economics in its rawest form, based purely on what's useful right now and what we all believe in. You know, that whole idea of shared belief in a closed system, that is the perfect bridge to our world today. Seriously. If you've ever spent hours, maybe days, grinding away in a video game to get some rare sword or a cool skin, guess what? You're already a part of this new kind of economy. And don't just write this off as some niche gamer thing. Projections show that by 2026, the market for these digital game assets is going to be massive. That rare item you worked so hard for, it's not just for showing off to your friends anymore. It's becoming a legitimate, real-world investment. And honestly, this idea stretches way beyond gaming. Some of today's most powerful currencies are totally invisible. Just think about it for a sec. Your personal data? They call it the new oil for a reason. It's a hugely valuable commodity that companies trade every single day. Or how about microchips? A shortage of those tiny things can jack up the price of everything from your phone to your car. That's a kind of economic power right there. And then you've got stuff like carbon credits, a whole new currency basically invented from thin air to put a price tag on pollution. Value is popping up everywhere in forms we couldn't have even imagined a few decades ago. Okay, so we've got salt, cocoa beans, ramen, even digital data. They've all acted as money. So what's the connection? What's the secret sauce here? How does something go from being just a random thing to being actual currency? All right, it's time for the big reveal. I mean, really, what could a sacred whale tooth from Fiji possibly have in Perman with a packet of ramen noodles in a prison? It sounds like a joke, but the answer to that question gets to the very heart of what money is. It turns out for anything to become money, it needs to have a few main character traits, if you will. First, it's got to be durable and divisible. You can't have it rotting away or being impossible to split. Second, it needs to be scarce enough to hold value. But it's that third trait. Oh man, that's the one that changes the entire game. And that trait is social acceptance. This is it. This is the final boss level of becoming money. An item is only money if we, all of us as a society, collectively agree that it's worth something. If we don't, then it's just a shiny rock or a block of salt or a useless string of code. That shared belief, it is literally everything. So, okay, cool story, but why should you care about any of this? Because once you get this, it completely shatters our normal, everyday ideas about what wealth and value even mean. Here's the bottom line. Value is whatever we all agree it is. It's a social construct. This isn't some dusty old history lesson. This is the engine that powers cryptocurrencies, NFTs, the whole creator economy. These things have value for the exact same reason cocoa beans did for the Aztecs, because a community of people decided they do. And wrapping your head around that is pretty much the key to understanding where our economy is headed. Maybe the best way to think about it today is like this. Money is basically a trending sound on TikTok. It doesn't have value because it's the best sound. It has value because everyone recognizes it, everyone's using it, and we all agree on what it means in that moment. Currency is just a trend that society decides to never let flop. Which really leaves you with one big question. What's going to be the next trend?